Okay, next we're going to generate the lift chart and decile wise lift chart. So lift chart here is what? So you plot, you have to first sort the um, data set, okay, by y hat. So y hat is what is doing the prediction, right? Once you sort it by y hat, then you compute from the top, so the largest value at the top and smallest value at the bottom, and then you do a cumulative of the actual y's. Having sorted by y hat, then you plot cumulative y here and cumulative number of observations. So as we go down, you add up all the y's and how many observations are you going in depth. Okay, so that's what we have to plot, and for that we will use a library called gains. Okay, whether have we done that? So we don't have it here. So let me go to the top and then run that library. Okay, then we're going to call this gain.vl. Okay, and then we're going to use the gains function, right? And we need to give two inputs to this. The first one is the actual value of y. The second one is the predicted value of y. So actual value of y is price. Predicted value of y is that. Okay. Now when you run that, okay, so gain.vl is where the results are stored. That's in a list. Okay, so you have a bunch of them. So the default, so what gains does is it sorts by, remember, by the predicted value, and then breaks the whole list into 10 equal number of observations. So if you have 100 observations, you'll have top 10 and then the next 10 and then the next 10 and then the next 10. So if you have 500 observations, then first 50, next 50, the next 50, and so on. So it'll divide it into 10 equal parts. I'll show you how to set up. If you want more than just 10, I'll show you how to do that in a little bit. Okay, and then we have other information all in here. So we're going to peel off whatever that we need for the purpose of plotting the gain chart. Okay, so the gain chart here is we need to plot two lines, right? So we need to plot that line, and then this is the base where you just simply increase at a constant rate. Okay, so you're not predicting very much. Okay, so it's the same as a random choice. It's just the average for in each of those 10 different groups. You have the same average. So in which case you're not sorting the best cars at the top. So the diagonal line is your baseline, and you ought to be able to do better. The best would be if your curved line goes straight up and then flattens, then that's very good. It's sorting the validated observations really very well. So what we need is we need a data frame which has these information. So I'm going to set up, once we have the gain, so we need the x value and the y value. So x for the plot. So x value is the number of observations. Y value is the cumulative y, right? So that's what we have to set up. So the x values are, okay, so for each group the x values are in gains, gain.cr, right? Gain.vl. So here, so there is cumulative observation. See? So what that does is, we can take a look at that. So if you take cumulative observations, so each of the 10 sets, so we have about the same 57, 58, 57 observations. So here is cumulative observation. So cumulative observation will be like it's going from the first set, and then the second set would be first and the second together, and then the third, first, second, and third together. So that's what is cumulative. So the cumulative number of observations is right there. So this is going to give us the x value. Okay. Now the y value, corresponding y value, again it's there in gain.vl. Okay. So here you see cumulative. So this is the mean response. This will be mean in each of the 10 sets. Okay, when you have after having sorted, right? So here we have cumulative mean response. So as you go down, so what is the cumulative mean? Okay. Now here it is cumulative percent of the total. So you sum all the prices. Okay. So what percentage of that sum is in the first decile, first group? And then if you go down to the second group, then you look at the first and the second group because it is cumulative percent. So what percentage of the total you have between the first and the second? And then the next number, so if you look at here, cumulative percent total, so the top group has 17.3% of the total sum price. And if you go down to the next, so that will be top, the first group and the second group. So 20% of the observations will have 30.3% of the total y. So that's the percentage. So you have to multiply by the total price to get what would be the cumulative y value, because we want to plot cumulative y value. So as you go down, as you go up, say from the top, first 10%, so you take the percentage cumulative total multiplied by the sum of the price, and then the next one again you take the cumulative percentage multiplied by the sum of the price. So what we're going to do is let's so the y is going to be cumulative percent of total. Okay. So, and then you have to multiply by sum of price. And that will give you the total y value. So as you go down, when you've gone all the way to the bottom, then this y value will be the total sum. So because the cumulative percent of total will be 100%, so it will be 100% of that. Okay. All right. So there is one more thing we have to do here, but I will show you how to why and how to do that in just a minute. Okay. So now let's set this up as a data frame, because ggplot requires data frame. So xy data frame, okay, x comma y. Okay. Okay, so now let's run all the three commands, all the three lines of code. So now you see we have cumulative observation and cumulative y value, so which is what we have to plot. Then so that will give us that line. And for the baseline, what we want is we want to plot to start from 0, 0, and then when you get to the total number of cases, that is n row for x, this should be the sum of the price. So we need to specify these 2 points and then draw a line through that. So now this time, okay, x is the 2 values of x that we need are 0 and then n row of valid dot df. Okay, so we are doing this for valid dot df. Okay, so those are the 2 values of x, so 0 and 575. So valid as 575, and the y values are again 0 to start with and then sum of price, right? So 0 starting point and the ending point is the sum of price. Okay. Now we'll call this B for base, BDF, B.df, okay, data frame x comma y. So we run these 3 lines of code, we will get BDF. Okay, so B.df has, okay, 0 0 starting point, 575 and the sum of y. Alright, so now we can plot these 2 lines. So we do ggplot. Okay. So we're going to draw 2 lines. So what we're going to do is we're going to say we're not going to give a data in ggplot itself, since the 2 different data frames, they both have x and y as the column names. We can give a common column name, x equal to x and y equal to y, right? And then we will specify the geoms. So plus geom line, okay, data equal to x, y, df. So that's the curved line, plus second geom dot line, data equal to b dot df. Okay. So as I said, there is an issue here which we have to go back and fix. So let's run this, then see what the issue is. Okay, so now we have the plot, and you see the baseline plot is fine. So it goes from 0 to the right value. But here, the curved line, okay, it's not starting from 0, 0. So that's because the values that we set here, right, the gain, cumulative observation, so it starts from the right side of the first set. So it does not have 0, 0 in it. So if you look at x, y, df, so it doesn't start with the 0, 0 as b does. Okay, so when you have b dot df, it starts with 0, 0. So that is the reason. So this should also have 0, 0, 0, 0 at the top. So what we need to do is to add here, right, x equal to, again we need to do a C, of x, so the existing x, right? And then we add, well, we need to add 0 first, right? So 0 comma x. And then y is c 0 comma y. Okay. And then do this. So we have to now redo x and y because we changed the x and y in this part of the code, so the x is different now. So we need to run all of these lines. Okay, so now if you look at xy, so 0 starts with 0, 0. So now if we run the ggplot, so it's going to start properly. Okay, there is another problem. Now y is in scientific notation. So scientific notation makes it, and of course you have to give a title and everything. I'm not going to, we have already done this several times, so I will expect you to do it. But I am going to skip in the interest of time. So now to change this from scientific notation to regular, so one way of doing it is by brute force, which is we can do what is called option scientific notation. So that is SCI PEN. Okay. So here if you set this a high number, then scientific notation will never be used. Okay. And if you use a number that is really small, like minus 999, then scientific notation will always be used. Okay, not just for this plot, for everything else. So this is kind of a brute force. So it's really not a good idea to use that. So I'm going to comment that out. And we're going to use a library for this called scales. Run scales. And then we can use scale, right? Y, because it is for the y-axis. If it is for x-axis, you will use x. So scale y x-axis. Then we have to say labels equal to comma all right, so then we run it. Okay, so now you see it uses comma format instead of scientific format.